He's the one, the only, the Baba, joining us on The Voice.
When a recovering Islamophobe talks.
This is to pay a compliment, so I've got to convert to Islam, and I've got to go with a satchel of money, apparently, to Ramallah Jewelers.
Absolutely.
BAWB and the Friends.
Now, all of a sudden, you have Americans and you have Europeans coming in and moving in to Israel on what's called the right of return, where they're given a free right of return. They didn't grow up there. They didn't live there. They didn't live there 20 years ago. Now they live there.
Bob,
and they moved in there from Europe, and they're given the right of return. What happened to the Palestinians that lived there?
Yalla Bob, انزل على الدبكة.
And welcome to another episode of BAWB and Friends here on YahalaVoice.com. And streaming live on Ustream. All you have to do is go to the Facebook page for Yahala Voice, and you can pull up the stream from there, and you can watch live. You can see right here, Whoopi the Penguin, the show mascot right there in front. Now, I can start the show off many ways. I can start the show off talking about my therapy session yesterday that I had in Moraine Valley, my Islamophobia therapy session that I have. It was awesome. It was a panel. There were 4 of us that sat on the panel up front, and we were discussing essentially the elections and the need, the rise up, the whole entire mission of what Rush actually brought me in here for. Was talking about getting the community to rise up, and there were probably well over 100 people there that were sitting in there listening and asking questions of us as a panel, and I was honored to be part of that panel. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Shadden's going to come on with us, who was one of the panelists with me, and talk about her experiences there and how that may in fact be a catalyst to get some people motivated in the community to step up into positions of elected officials. So we'll talk about that, and it's a very neat process that's going to happen here. I could also start the show off talking about the marathon, which we will be momentarily with Rush Darwish, who's back from Palestine and is going to be checking in with us here at Yahala Voice at BAWB and Friends, and letting us know what that experience of crossing the line was like. We could talk about the primary results at Wisconsin yesterday that really have now once again, I mean, this is the most exciting election primary I can ever remember. But where we thought it might be a lock by now, where we thought it was going to be a lock a month ago, nothing is locked in. And that is what we learned yesterday. Here you've got Bernie Sanders winning 7 of the last 8 primaries and really putting things in question. And now you have Cruz essentially dominating in Wisconsin and really thumping Trump in Wisconsin and taking a lion's share of those delegates, and all of a sudden Trump's grip on the nomination is slipping away quite quickly. So it's exciting. It really is exciting to be a part of the process this year and start to learn some of the nuances of the rule. But I'm starting off this show today with well wishes to a dear friend of mine, the person who actually gave me Whoopi. Her name is Nev, and she got married on April 1st. She believes that April Fool's Day should be a national holiday, and the best way she could think to honor it was to have her wedding day on that day. So she and Simon got married. This was over in the UK, and now they're over in Italy on their honeymoon. But best wishes to that happy couple. And how cool it is that here I sit in Chicago and feel connected to a couple that got married in the UK and now is honeymooning in she supplies me, by the way, with tons of information. She is part of a group that assembles all essentially terror risks and terror events in the world, and compiles it into about a 200-page report. And it's incredibly thorough. It details every single one of them. Every entry in there has been vetted multiple times. It really lets you know what things are like on a global perspective instead of the small little picture we get in our media. You look at things as a broader scope. It can be overwhelming. It really can. And it can wear on you. I can't see what trying to compile that kind of information on a monthly basis would be like. She's part of a team. They each have different segments of the country, or the world, that they look at in compiling this information. And it is seen by, I will guarantee you, it is seen by many top people, politicians, anybody in the security industry is referencing this report. It really is a valuable tool in evaluating what's really going on and getting a balanced perspective out there. But my best wishes to Nev, who's become a dear friend, and her husband Simon. So I wish them well. In any event, we've got big things that have happened here, and one of the neat things that happened was the marathon in Palestine, which was known as the Right to Movement. They assembled this, and this year there were over 4,000 participants in this race. And it really was a neat event. I don't know of anybody that got blocked except for the people from Gaza. They actually had one world-class runner from Gaza who I believe won it last year. And she was denied entry. She was denied. She was not allowed to leave Gaza. You've heard the reports that Gaza is essentially a large prison camp. It is. Israel controls the borders, and she was not allowed to leave there to come over to the Right to Movement. How ironic is that? That these runners, I think there were 100 applied. There were 10 they thought were going to be able to come over, and the night before they were told they were not allowed. So here's somebody and a bunch of people who had trained for the marathon and were denied the right to cross over from Gaza. Okay, Gaza is Palestinian territory, from Gaza to the West Bank. This is all Palestine. From going across there, was denied that ability to do that. And so therefore they couldn't show. I think everybody else made it. There was a great contingency there from South Africa. There were other people from other parts of the world that all ran with Team Palestine. It really is a world event, world-class event, growing in numbers every year. I think last year they just broke 1,000. This year they broke 4,000. So they had like about 4,200, I believe, was the total number that were there. Ran through the streets of Palestine. And I wish so much that I was there, not to run the marathon, but just to be part of the 10K. There's a 10K race that was there. There's a half marathon that's there, and there was a full marathon that was there. And I would have liked to have run the 10K. There were many other people that ran as part of Team Palestine as well. Miko Peled, who is a Israeli, served in the IDF. His grandfather signed the Declaration of Establishment of Israel back in 1948. And he has written a book called The General Son, and that talks about the awakening, essentially, of an Israeli to the reality of how the basic human rights of Palestinians have been denied, and like the Right to Movement. So he ran in this race as well. And so I'll be interested to hear Rush if he got a chance to see Miko at all, and if they got to interface. Steve Sosabe ran, I believe Steve ran the half marathon portion of it. Steve is the president and CEO of Palestine Children's Relief Fund, and the money and the funds raising and a lot of attention that was drawn here, not only to the Right to Movement, but also PCRF and Team Palestine and the 55 members there that got mentioned in the Washington Post and some of the others. We didn't get a lot of press here in the U.S. about it, but still it was wonderful to see that was there. So this race, these participants, these people involved need more attention and more focus on what they're doing. If you have any comments that you'd like to join in, 708-321-1313. 708-321-1313, extension 1. If you'd like to make any mention, anybody that you know that happened to run the race, if you ran the race, because there are people now that are home, that have run the race and are already home. Some are still over in Palestine, and they're doing some tourism things and visiting family members and so forth. And so, yeah, and so it's a wonderful thing. And I think on the line with us now is none other than my buddy Rush. Rush, how are you, man?
Bob, my man, how are you? Back from the motherland.
How was it? How give me the whole rundown of the whole experience if you can. I mean, life-changing even for you?
Well, for me was, how do I put this, Bob? We had close to 60 runners. Probably around half of them were new to Palestine. So for me, I feed off the energy of the people who ran for us and ran the event, the Right to Movement Marathon. And it was a memorable experience for everybody. It was, how do I put this? I mean, it was for many people one of the greatest days of their lives. And I know that sounds a little over dramatic, but it was a powerful moment. And something for me, the highlight of the trip, and there were a lot of highlights. Don't get me wrong, but Mervyn Steenkamp, the Team Palestine for PCRF South Africa team, he won the race. Mervyn won the race, had a course record with a time of 2 hours and 35 minutes.
That is world-class time. That is world-class time. 2 hours and 35 minutes.
On a hilly course.
But we were talking about that. A brutal hilly course. We're not talking nice and flat like Chicago is. Chicago, I guess, is a really like a preferred track because it is so flat. In running it around, at least from what I've seen. Not that I would know from running even a mile of it, but I understand that Chicago is relatively flat, and so it's a preferred track and course on there. But Palestine was incredibly hilly, from what I understand. How'd you do?
Yeah, it's a very challenging course. I was filming for the documentary, so I mean, I ran with certain people. I ran a little bit with Steve Susby, who was one of my subjects. The general's son, the author, I believe.
Miko Peled.
Yeah, I ran with him for a good portion.
That is
with
awesome.
Nader Abuzir and several other people, but
Nader,
I was telling the story.
He and his family have been hosts to a little girl from Syria, actually, right? Or Jordan. Excuse me, Jordan. She was but lost a leg in Syria, correct? And she was from a Jordan refugee camp, and then she came over and they hosted her. And so he's just been, I mean, for me, one of the touching pictures was at the end to see Mervyn on top of Steve and Nader's shoulder.
It's an iconic picture for anybody who's part of Team Palestine, who supports PCRF. It was a moment I will admit I will never forget it. It was a powerful moment of him crossing the finish line. They carried him across Manger Square, which is right next to the Church of Nativity, and everybody, the clapping, the cheering. It was just a powerful moment. Merv won the race, but Team Palestine for PCRF, we all won the race on that day. We really did. And that's how I felt, and I know many people felt the same way too.
What a nice way to put it, because from here, 10,000 miles away, it is really what I felt. I mean, getting up and seeing the results and being so ecstatic at that, and seeing that the team was there and so well represented, and that the weather seemed very nice for it. Seemed really like it was very accommodating.
It was a wonderful moment, and I'm very proud of the people, Bob, who made the trip. It was very easy to look at the landscape, read some stories about the violence that's happening, in Bethlehem, which I'm going to get to shortly. But a lot of runners overcame that fear or that illusion that it's too dangerous, because it's important to note the Israeli government, they want you to believe that it's too dangerous to travel.
Yeah.
Don't come. Don't come. Look how dangerous this is. You don't want to be a part. Look how dangerous the Palestinians are.
I mean,
do you want that? And people, and it's very easy to get scared. And for people who made the trip, they overcame their fears, and it was well worth it.
Wow.
I do want to let you know, in front of our hotel, not that many people know this, on Wednesday and Friday, an exchange of violence did take place between 20 to 30 Palestinian kids, 15 and under, and the Israeli soldiers. Tear gas and rocks were exchanged right in front of us. But I'll tell you, Bob, we were all there, and not one person felt scared. None of us were worried. I got to tell you, we all felt proud. I mean, we witnessed this, and we were all very thankful. I know this sounds nuts. Everybody I asked, we were all so thankful that we were able to witness it and be a part of it and be able to see that. It was like almost the unexpected treat of the tour.
Now
They locked down all the doors. They closed all the windows for the hotel. But yet we were able to watch it. And, did we smell the tear gas? Absolutely. But we felt like we were part of it.
Wow. And did you I take it you got some photos and part of that for the documentary? Rush is doing the documentary called Crossing the Line. It by the way, I got some information. In order to submit that for the Palestine Film Festival next year, November is the deadline.
Yeah, it won't be done.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be tough to make it this year.
There's just too much of the story we need to tell, Bob. I mean, this year in November, I'm very blessed to be running the New York City Marathon, and I really do look forward to sharing that point of view of what New York City means to so many people. We also plan on going to South Africa at some point later this year, early next year. And I'm doing one more trip back to Palestine as well. So a lot of things have to be covered for the documentary. And, not to segue, but that's why I really hope and pray that we do get some support and donations from friends and family. The McLuba Bowl is Friday, April 29th at the Orland Bowl, Orland Park. We want to tell this story, and we have just a long way to go, and I'm really looking forward to doing that.
The McLuba Bowl for the Crossing the Line documentary that Rush is doing. He's directing, he's producing, this is a labor of love. There's no doubt about it. And it was neat to sit in on one of the planning meetings. And you can see the passion that's involved here, and people willing to do things in order to get this message out, because, it's a huge message and you've got wonderful storylines to go with it here, and it's powerful, Rush. I got
to share a story with you, Bob.
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping I could get this put in the documentary. On Friday, we got done with the race. It was a really, again, I don't like to overemphasize things, but I got to tell you, you ever have that day where it just feels so special?
Yeah.
So we run the race. Merv wins. We go back at 2:00 for the medal ceremony. Then we go to the PCRF Cancer Center, the Healing Garden, where we had like a picnic-style event.
Oh, that was
so we're
after.
heading back to the hotel. Now, yeah, it was a long day. And then that's where at around 4:30, around 5:30 p.m., we're heading back to the hotel. But guess what? To get to our hotel, that road area, you can't get through. Nobody's telling you it's closed, by the way. You have the Palestinian kids they're chucking rocks at the Israeli soldiers. This is what they do every Friday, by the way, because where Jasser Palace is located, it is literally, Bob, roughly 70 to 80 yards away from the watchtower and the wall.
Wow.
So I was filming some of the youngsters. Half of them were not wearing, their faces were not covered. Okay. And I was rolling, my camera was on, and I was, they first liked the idea that I was filming, but the minute I started asking questions, how many times do you do this? Why do you do this? Are you scared? Then they said, are you filming this? And I said, I am. Excuse me. No, I didn't. I said, I'm not. I'm not. They said, yes, you are. And they started accusing me of that I'm going to take the footage and I'm going to give it to the Israeli authorities.
Oh,
because
wow.
that's been an ongoing problem of people posing as tourists, and they take pictures and video, and then they give it over to Israeli authorities who are able to identify these kids, and they knock on their house and they take them to jail. When you go to jail, you don't go for a week or they're taking these 15-year-old kids. They're throwing them in jail for like a year for throwing rocks.
They got 2 years. They got a kid right now that's 11 that they're refusing to let out.
Yeah, exactly. So I admit I was worried for a little bit because as I walked away, 8 to 9 of the kids began circling around me, walking with me, trying to pull my camera, wanting the footage from the card.
Right.
And I continued walking to a coffee shop where I sat for 10 minutes, and then I stepped outside because I felt like I didn't want to hide. I did not want to hide and make it look like I'm even more guilty hiding away from them.
Right.
So I went back outside again where, guess what, they're all waiting for me.
Oh, boy.
Thankfully, Akram, one of the runners on our team, who's a little bit more versed, let's just say, with the Arabic language than I am, was able to calm them down and assure them that, we're all on the same side. And it was a little bit of a scary moment. But at the same time, I felt awful for them because they are terrified. They were terrified that I was going to turn in the footage or post it on Facebook.
And which even means more that you have to blur it. You have to blur these kids' faces.
Exactly.
You cannot let facial
as much as you want to act
recognition
like a
out there.
know-it-all, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hurt these kids.
Absolutely.
But I do want to tell their story.
I never would have. I never would have thought
if their face is not wrapped, that's the rule now. I learned that. When I go back, if their face is not wrapped, don't videotape them. Matter of fact, a tourist told me from Ireland. two of the runners who just got done, they're from Ireland, and they're like, with their Irish accent, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But they said, hey, we took a picture of them right now, and they're very upset at us. I wouldn't do it if I were you. And I was kind of going in there all arrogant. I'm like, well, that's because you're not Palestinian. Here, I'll show you how it's done.
I've heard that before.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah. Well, guess what? I always told you, Bob, I can't win. Here in America, I'm the Palestinian Muslim guy. Over there, I'm the American. So I'm kind of caught.
And that came through in the Washington Post article about the marathon. It said that, most of them were, the Team Palestine was there for some, like you said, nearly 60 members, most of whom were Americans. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Over there, they're Americans. Over here, they're Palestinians. They can't win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that
win. Identity crisis at its finest. But I'll tell you, Bob, it really was a spectacular scene from the beginning to the end. The race itself was special. It was special for so many people. For some, again, their first time ever making it to Palestine, and then to be able to run the streets of Bethlehem. It was a powerful moment for a lot of people. We take that for granted. We also went to the Church of the Nativity, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. It's very special for a lot of people. I mean, again, I've been there a lot of times. So for me, I don't feel it as much, but for people who went to Jerusalem, Bethlehem, to Jericho, Ramallah, it was a powerful moment for a lot of people. It's always special that one event, so many people, they've been wanting to go their whole lives, but they never found a way, and it took the Right to Movement Marathon for them to come. Special.
I would have so wished to have been there. I have so many regrets right now for not being there, but I was where I needed to be, and believe me, I was where I needed to be.
Hey, it's life.
It is life.
Some people for personal or work reasons or whatever it is, couldn't make it. I'm only talking about the people who let fear dictate their judgment. We all know, hey, not everybody can make it. There's too many things in people's lives that just makes it impossible. But for the people who said, I'm not coming because it's not safe, it's because of this, and the security reasons, and and they're the ones that I look at and say, you should never let fear dictate your judgment of visiting your homeland.
Of anywhere. I honestly, at least I have many things as a guy, as an older white male, that I try to, you've got to use caution. You've got to use, the right amount of caution. But for me, that was not my consideration at all. I was not worried about it.
No, absolutely, Bob. I know that 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Bob, I want to make a couple of mentions, if you don't mind.
Please.
So Ramallah, we spent 4 days in, and Ramallah is where, that's where my family lives. Ramallah is like the condo capital of the world. Like, where you go there, just a bunch of condo buildings.
Really?
It's actually now a much improved, thriving economy. But I got to tell you, I have major concerns, something to look out for that I feel like I'm the one to kind of bring this to the forefront. I feel like in Ramallah, which is very oversaturated with businesses, real estate properties, I feel like the bubble is ready to burst in Ramallah. And here's my prediction. It's an unfortunate one. Now Ramallah, and there's like all these banks that are popping up, and they're actually giving car loans and home loans, and that's why the economy is kind of thriving, if you will, kind of like how in 2000 and 2002,
right.
3, 4, 5 here in America.
Yep.
And here's my prediction. Recession will unfortunately come to Ramallah because I could kind of feel it. I feel it that people are working, but they can't afford their lifestyles. What's going to happen? A recession is going to hit. These banks are going to suffer. And when they suffer, who do you think they're going to go to for a bailout, Bob?
It's going to hurt.
They're going to go to Israel.
Yeah.
They're going to go to the Israeli financial system. So once again, this is my unfortunate prediction, is that I'm not saying that the Israeli government and Israel want to live in Ramallah and they want people to actually live in the heart of Ramallah. But I do feel eventually what's going to happen, these banks are going to bail, and they're going to go to the Israeli financial system, and they're going to use that as leverage to hold and seize properties they're going to take.
Oh, boy.
This is my prediction that nobody's talking about, because here's the thing, Bob. Why would the Israeli government allow these buildings to even come up in the first place. If Israel was, you would think, my gosh, they'd be concerned that Palestinians are thriving, Palestinians are building homes. No, I think Israel's already looking 9-10 steps ahead. They're introducing
Get
the
them into debt,
Palestinians.
do it that way.
Yep. Palestinians, you have to understand, until probably the last 8 to 10 years, nobody took a loan. If you wanted to build a house or buy a house, you paid cash. That's the only way you did things. You want to buy a car, you paid cash.
Right.
Now these banks, these really nice bank buildings are popping up, and it's obvious. Everybody's getting into the loan game, and people are loving it. Now they can go buy instead of buying a Kia for $10,000 or $15,000, they can buy the Beamer for $30,000 and $40,000.
So credit. Oh boy!
And I could tell they're being introduced to the new concept of loans, and it's kind of like somebody who's been pretty self-sufficient, but now you're giving them, you're just giving them, here's $30,000.
Right.
Just pay back in interest.
Right.
And I do feel that,
right.
Israel is kind of just allowing this. They're allowing this because eventually the bubble's going to burst, and where do the Palestinians go? This is all in the West Bank, by the way.
Yep. On the line with us,
Where
Rush
they gonna
Darwish, back from Palestine, where he ran the Right to Movement Marathon. Rush, can you hold on with us for a few minutes through the break? Because there's there's a little election I'd just like to touch base with you on over here on this side of the pond. All right, so we'll do that.
Eating a Bernie sandwich. Bernie sandwich coming up.
We'll talk about Bernie sandwich when we get back right after these messages.
يا هلا فويس الصوت العربي في أمريكا.
Ashiana Banquets, well known for their beautiful rooms, superior service, and great food. For all your special occasions, call Ashiana Banquets. We will take care of your wedding, engagement, henna parties, bridal shower, baby shower, or corporate events. Reserve today at 630-964-7090. 630-964-7090. Ashiana Banquets has easy parking and seats up to 900 guests comfortably.
اتصل على أشيانا بانكويتس واحجز لجميع مناسباتك. 1620 75th Street in Downers Grove, Illinois.
مانكاريز كرايسلر جيب دوج اند رام. أحسن شيء إنه عنده برنامج خاص للعرب والمسلمين بدون فوائد. يعني 0% فوائد. هذا غير إنهم بيحكوا عربي وعندهم جميع أنواع السيارات جديد ومستعمل. مانكاريز في أوكلان على استعداد إنهم يوفروا لك التقسيط حتى إذا أنت جاي من البلاد جديد ولسه ما عندك كريدت، أو إذا في عندك مشاكل بالكريدت هم بيعملوا كل جهدهم ليحلوها. هذا غير العروض الخاصة لمستمعين يا هلا فويس. إذا حبيت سيارة خدها لفة وجربها وبعطوك $25 كارد حتى لو ما بدك تشتريها. مانكاريز 4630 West 95th Street in Oakland, Illinois. 888-631-9187. الرقم مرة تانية 888-631-9187.
Hi, I'm Frank Mancari. I will be at the dealership every day to guarantee you will pay what we pay. And you will drive home today.
Man carries the one. Join us at Moraine Valley Community College for our open house for high school students and their parents to learn why 1/3 of high school students in our area start their college education at Moraine Valley. Learn about the transfer process. Complete the first 2 years of your bachelor's degree here and save thousands of dollars. Take a tour of the campus and meet faculty members. Open house for high school students and their parents, March 19th. 9 a.m. to noon in Building S on our Palos Hills campus. For more information, go to morainevalley.edu.
Register now at morainevalley.edu, and so you can say,
I will achieve my goals.
I will achieve my goals.
I will achieve my goals.
Risha Printing is the best spot for all your printing needs. We specialize in graphic design, banners, channel letters, lighted box signs. Everything from business cards and wedding invitations to t-shirts and car wraps can all be found at Risha. We would like to announce our collaboration with Pristine Line Media Productions, who will provide audio and video services for all occasions, such as weddings, special events, and commercials. Visit our showroom in Bridgeview. Call us at 708-233-6688 to place an order or speak with a Pristine Line representative to learn more about our wedding video packages. For more information, visit trishaprinting.com and pristineline.com.
حلويات نابلس، جميع أنواع الحلويات العربية، كنافة، حلاوة جبن، مدلوقة، ليالي لبنان، عش سرايا، حلبة، عوامة، غريبة، هريسة، بقلاوة. حكيت كنافة؟ طبعا كنافة. ومش بس هيك، لا، في حلويات نابلس بنجيب الجبنة النابلسية من البلاد كل 45 يوم، وعجينة الكنافة بنعملها هون، مش بس بنشتريها جاهزة زي المحلات التانية. حلويات نابلس بإدارة أبو رامي وطبخ الشيف السوري محمد زياد على استعداد إنهم يعملوا الكنافة قدامك في بيتك أو في أي مكان بتختاره لمناسباتك السعيدة. حلويات نابلس، هارلم and 83rd في بريدج فيو.
Order online today at nablissweet.com for second day delivery. We have sugar-free sweets.
حلويات نابلس، تعالوا ذوق طعم البلاد. يا هلا فويس.
Folks, back with Bob and Friends here with my friend Rush Darwish. If you don't get us on Ustream, you should, because it's the stuff off camera is worth the price of admission, I'm telling you. Rush, big election.
Are you telling me the audio, wait a second, our audio was on there for real?
Yes, it was. That's what I was trying to tell you. I was saying, oh, watch Lakers.
Yeah,
I started laughing. So anyway. No, the one I wanted to talk was about the primary that was held in Wisconsin yesterday. Both you and I thought that this was already going to be wrapped up, that we would know for certain who the nominee was going to be. Boy, we don't know who the nominee is going to be on either side right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Bernie Sanders has shocked the world. I'm not ready to call it Obama mania a la 2008 just yet, but there's no doubt momentum is totally shifting to Bernie Sanders. If somebody told me that we're going to get to the point where New York, supposed her home state, is now do or die for Hillary Clinton, but that's where we're at. If Hillary Clinton cannot win New York and Bernie Sanders pulls off, I guess you can call it an upset, even though he was born in New York, the wheels will start to come off for Hillary Clinton. And those pledged delegates will start shifting. Everything will start shifting. Everybody's now looking at New York.
And for both sides. For both sides. Because if Trump doesn't come away with a big... You're right. If Trump doesn't come away with a big victory there as well, the wheels come off his cart.
He will, though. Now, see, Trump doesn't have anything to worry about.
No,
Trump is going to win.
Does. Have you seen that?
Now when it comes to New York, he's going to win New York.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Have you seen that video of the women where the women, the Republican women, are taking after him and the things that he's been saying about women? Flat-chested women aren't pretty, and and on and on.
Did he really say that?
Oh, it's like 30 seconds of women saying his quotes. It's brutal. It is brutal. I mean, and he had a bad week this week, was saying that, I know you were in Palestine at the time, but it was ugly this last week. And I mean, come on. He got beat by 20 points in Wisconsin, where that just a week before they were polling neck and neck. And it was a 20-point slaughter.
Yeah, but he still has a pretty huge lead. I mean, I think it's like 20 points. He's going to win New York, Bob. I can see this maybe hurting him a little bit.
All right, he's got to win.
He's going to win New York.
He's got to win 60% of everything from here on out. And that's what happened with this. It went from 54 to 60%. It just became that much higher of a wall, all puns intended, that he is going to have to get over.
Yeah. He's not going to. There's going to be a contested convention, no doubt about it. It's going to be a total circus. I'm looking forward to it. I know you are.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's going to be It's going to be chaos. If somebody told me that Paul Ryan is going to be the Republican frontrunner, it wouldn't shock me.
Yep.
Because you could tell the Republicans are secretly wanting him to get in the fray. And as crazy as this sounds, if Paul Ryan ran from the very beginning, I don't think he would win. He wouldn't win. I think he'd be right in with the rest of those establishment Republicans.
I don't think so.
Does that make any sense?
Nope.
I don't think he would have been as competitive.
Nope. And it's going to be crazy. We're going to get to that convention. It's going to be fun. We're going to have to talk about that more in detail.
Yeah, right now, there's no doubt. Bernie Sanders is shocking the world. and momentum is totally on his side. And I got to tell you, if he wins New York, if she loses New York, Hillary Clinton, it's like the nightmare all over again with Barack Obama.
Hey, you know what we need
to live it twice.
We talk about these national elections a lot, but what we don't talk about enough is the local elections that happen here. Now, I know you're talking about some point in time throwing your hat in for committeeman. I'm trying right now, very desperately, to work someone out to be on the board at Moraine Valley. And so some way, one way or another, I think we can get somebody from the community to step up and step into that position, because Moraine Valley does not have anybody from the Arab American community on their board, and that is an elected position.
That's shocking.
Isn't that? And that's an opening, that's an opportunity, and one that we need to address at some point in time. But hey, I was at Moraine Valley yesterday.
We have a relationship at Moraine Valley,
We do. And Rush, great having you on. As always, welcome home, brother. And I'm looking so much
I really, one thing I have to give up to you, that's the one thing you've learned from me, is how to wrap somebody up really quickly.
It's so good hearing from you, man.
Holy
I'll look forward.
Bye, Bob.
I'll talk to you soon, man.
Goodbye.
Take care. Goodbye, sir. And on the line now, yesterday with me is Shadden. Shadden, it was so wonderful being with you at Moraine Valley yesterday. Wasn't that neat yesterday?
Bentley, it was such a wonderful experience. It really was. And my favorite part was listening to your perspective, the big old American WASP perspective.
You know what? I was honored to be there. I was honored to be. I mean, to be included in that group and to sit there with such esteemed people as yourself, as Khalid, and Bilal was so neat having him there. I'm looking forward to having him in here in a couple weeks, and we're going to talk about some things and. To hear your perspective, though, is so key as a person within the community, someone who's raising two small children, and what they face. You know, I mean, with a political environment that's being spun right now, that's so hard.
I know, and we touched upon that a little bit yesterday when Nina asked if what my perspective as a mother, having two young children and them hearing the rhetoric constantly, and actually not in my house, because I told you I don't listen to the news in my house. But in school, Jenna is 11 years old, and she takes a social studies class. And in the social studies class, they have CNN on in the background. And, I remember one day she came home saying, "Mom, why is it that Muslims are always being talked about in such a negative way?" I mean, of course, she said it in a more child. Why are we always, everything we hear is always bad about Muslims? And I explained to her that there are a lot of bad things going on in the world right now, and in the name of our religion, although it doesn't represent us, that it's really, I mean, you and I have talked about what I call it socio-political terrorism, ISIS. And they commit things in our name that have nothing to do with our religion. And a lot of people are confused, and they want to blame something or someone for what's happening. And they are blaming right now a whole religion. I think that's what's, and for children it's very confusing because they don't understand. And they feel, I don't want them to feel shameful or ashamed of calling themselves, Muslim or
you're absolutely right.
Ahead.
And what that leads into is that thing that we just heard down in Texas, where that poor kid had I don't know whether it was a teacher or an administrator that was saying that he was a terrorist. Here's this.
Did this happen today? Because I've been working all day. I haven't.
No. This happened. This happened just this last week. It happened just this last week. I think maybe towards the end of last week. It started to evolve. CARE's now gotten involved with it. But it happened down in Texas where a kid was, accused as administrator. We had this girl here just right in like Chicago Heights or somewhere, where that she was in high school
and a substitute teacher came in and was accusing her of being a terrorist. And that one was caught on tape.
Unacceptable.
Absolutely unacceptable.
And unacceptable. And if this was any other group, we've talked about this yesterday a little bit, if this was any other group, the Jewish community, if it was the African American community that was being spoken to about in that way, you know that people saying these things would be blacklisted. And unfortunately, it's become okay for people to speak this way about Muslims without any repercussions or consequences.
Absolutely.
And that's,
You're absolutely right. And it was so neat to be able to sit on a panel and hear that and hear you talk about. And the other thing is that how you have to teach your children. I mean, your youngest one, you told a great story about something that they could or could not eat. Share that again. Share that again with us about the bacon.
Well, you know, and I know it seems like a little thing, but I think that it's because Muslims are being talked about in the homes these days, and it was the girl is 9 years old, my daughter is 9 years old, and they were eating at lunch, and the girl asked Sarah why she never eats pork, and Sarah says, it's against my religion. And she says, well, I think that's, weird. And she goes, well, you believe what you believe, and I believe what I believe.
Beautiful.
And I really, it's funny because we had said that to her a month ago, and she remembered to give it as a reply, which we thought was, admirable for a 9-year-old to reply in that way and to remember to say it in that way. But the little girl didn't let it go, and I didn't get to complete my story. She kept kind of, making fun of her for it. And you wonder if, I don't know, you start to wonder, is this being talked about in the house where, well, that's weird, that's odd, and I don't know. It's you become sensitive, of course, with everything going on, and that these little kids are being exposed to prejudice and maybe racist language in the house. Anyway, I mean, because kids learn this kind of behavior from their parents. There were other things that happened too, but I mean, it's really sad for the children more than anything. And I know how you really love to promote the woman's voice, especially when it comes to mothers, because you know that they raise children of the future, and we want to try to raise children that are healthy and productive and have high self-esteem.
And I also believe in protecting the children, which is why next week's show is going to be about kids. Hopefully I'm going to have a co-host who is going to be a young student who has been called Little Osama by been teased as being Little Osama and been teased in school, and we're going to have hopefully a dialogue. I'd love to have Jenna be part of it if she's available to call in or even come
I think she would love it.
Oh, you know what? Just to give these kids a voice in getting in there, and so I think that's so key.
And I'm just so shocked that the schools don't think of. We have a large Muslim and Arab community in Orland Park, and I'm surprised that they don't think of the ramifications and the consequences of hearing that kind of ISIS constantly in the background, and then the negative rhetoric that he's constantly saying that we don't want Muslim immigrants coming in. All this sort of thing is very, it is not healthy for children to hear, and
Correct.
It is not okay. It is not okay.
And one of the things
it is unacceptable to hear.
It is unacceptable. And one of the things we were talking about yesterday was the importance of having or being an advocate. And raising that voice and being an advocate. And Khalid was talking about how he does it. I mean, he does it just naturally. I mean, he's so good at it too. But one of the ways that I was so proud of you in the way that you advocated for the community was that at the Shamrock Shuffle. And I know this sounds like something that's little, and I know it sounds like something that isn't. But at the Shamrock Shuffle, you saw a news crew that was filming there. You were actually waiting to have your picture taken, as I understand it, with the green men that were running, the people that were running in the green body paint. And you saw, the film crew, and you're like, well, why can't they talk about us?
Mm-hmm.
And you stepped
up. It was
up.
me, Ibat was there, Lema was there, and Fayed was there. And again, we were waiting to take a picture with the green men. And I didn't even realize they were ABC News until my friend Ibat said, that's ABC News right there. I said, yeah. And then I'm like, and we're waiting still. It didn't occur to me to say, hey, they're interviewing these green men. What we're doing deserves recognition more so than what these green men are doing.
Absolutely.
So I literally, I just looked at him and the anchor and the reporter, and I said, hey, we're part of a team. We are running for a great cause. Do you want to interview us? And he said, sure. And he put the microphone to my mouth and started asking questions. And I thought for sure the minute he heard the word Palestinian Children's Relief Fund that it would not air. I walked away saying to my friends that it wasn't going to air.
And not only did it air, but they changed the focus of that little segment to say that a lot of people were running for good causes, and they had one other a guy that was running for homeless, and they came to you guys for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, which, by the way, is one of the best charities that you can donate to. Charity Navigator ranks it as one of the highest. I mean, from the top down, everybody in between, and the people who are out top there on a daily basis out there doing things for it. And advocating as you do, and it's a positive thing. It's such a positive thing.
And that's why we love wearing those T-shirts. When we run, it really does get people's attention, and they ask, and you're bringing attention to a wonderful cause. It's helping children in the Middle East. Children in Palestine that are, and this is one of the things that I said that they didn't air, that are living under occupation, that do not have access to the resources and specialized medical treatment that we have here in America. So to be a part of that movement, to feel like, us as individuals can make a small little difference in these children's lives, these helpless children's lives that have nothing to do with anything. It's not political. And again, this is what I said during the interview, but of course I didn't interview that aspect of it because it's more controversial when you say, you use the word occupied territories. But anyway, we advocate for this wonderful charity. And I think also in our daily life, we try to advocate for Muslims and how we deal with people.
On the line with us. Yep. Sorry, Shadden. I was just going to say on the line with us is Shadden, the one of the lovely members of Palestine Children's Relief Fund. And we invite people to call in 708-321-1313, extension 1. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Paul on the line. Paul, how are you, buddy?
Bentley, hi. How are you?
I'm great, man.
Shadden, is Shadden still there?
Is this Paul Giappo?
This is Paul Gibo.
No, Gibo, is that how you pronounce it?
It is Gibo, or Jeebs for short. Either way, you could go any way you want.
Yeah.
And this is your long-term friend.
50 years, Shadden. I have known Paul for 50 years.
I remember you saying that at one point, and I thought it was so special. It is so nice meeting you, Paul, on the phone. I know we've communicated over Facebook.
And I have to echo what Bentley said. Thank you so much for all of your work and dedication and your voice. It's essential.
It is.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say it just seemed like perfect timing today. Each Wednesday, I'm some of you know, a seminarian at Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary, and part of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. And today at our weekly Wednesday worship service, our presider and the one who delivered the sermon was our former presiding bishop, Bishop Mark Hansen. And my goodness, what a voice, what a vision this soul has. But he shared with us today about kind of reminding us all about our sinfulness and our complicit nature in all of the sins and oppression of the world. And he even told a personal story of, many years ago when he and worldwide Lutheran bishops met in the Holy Land. at the same time that right down the street from where they were, the wall was being constructed. And he said, at some point we just had to walk down there, put our hands on the wall, and let our voices be heard. And it was just wonderful to as a reminder to myself and my classmates who are all studying to serve Christ, serve the church, that we have to stand alongside our brothers and sisters who are being oppressed. Yes. That all of my privilege counts for nothing.
That we have to, just to go along with what you're saying, focus less on the bureaucracy of religion and more on the spirit of all our religions, that humanity to one another. And I wish we did more of that across all religions.
Great message, Paul.
And I guess that Bentley is a wonderful model of that interfaith dedication and work. And God bless both of you for the work.
Paul.
Well, and I always tell Bentley that he is really the bridge to from our community to the mainstream American community, because there's so much fear, there's so much misunderstanding, and that he really just being himself, just living his life, is fostering understanding, and I'm so proud of him for that.
You go to the video, guys, you're going to see me getting teared up. I'm telling you, this is what I wanted. This is my dream, is that we can be a bridge between communities.
I love you both. I'll let you and Chad continue your conversation.
Thanks, buddy.
Chad,
Paul,
it was wonderful meeting you.
Love you, brother.
Oh, it was nice meeting you too, Paul.
He is such a good guy. He is such an advocate.
Not only is he a good guy, he's so smart too. Unbelievably smart.
No. He is frighteningly smart. His intelligence is
yes.
Yeah. He can write a 6-word sentence, and I've got to look up 2 of them. I hate him for that.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. I mean, when he writes things, I have to look over, read them a couple of times. I'm like, okay, I just got to make sure that I take this in and I understand it completely before I respond back to what he's saying.
But
I'm pretty sure I'm in agreement.
He grew up 7 houses away from me. It wasn't anything in the water because it didn't affect me. And he was. Well,
it says something about you too that you have friends like this. And even, and friends that don't completely agree with you, they are still kind-hearted. Like Bob, for instance, Milani, he's just, even if you're, I love how respectful and kind, and even if you disagree on issues, that it's still coming from a good place.
And that's what we've got to get to. Is the way that we can respect
it's okay to
each other.
disagree, as long as you disagree with respect. You disagree with kindness. That as long as you have the interests of our country and our humanity in mind, that overall, I think we're all heading in the same direction. We all want good things for ourselves and for our country.
Absolutely. And that's why when you start to talk about, respect and everything else, it's where you bring both the woman's voice and the kid's voice into it, because we have to understand that these are, these are the children of tomorrow. These are the leaders of tomorrow. And I'm telling you, having met your children, having met Amir and so many other kids, it is so impressive to see. I mean, yesterday, the kids that we met yesterday, Bilal and
Kareem.
The enthusiasm of these kids.
Yes. And they're international students. They've been here only a couple of years. Bilal has only been here, a little over a year and a half. Almost 2 years. Kareem, the same thing. And their English is spectacular, first of all.
The English is spectacular.
Their involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then their involvement in the community to volunteer their efforts, not just to help the Arab American community, but the general overall student Moraine Valley student population too.
Absolutely. And, how strong of advocates they have become.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and I noticed there when they were there, everybody was, they were attracted to them. They were approaching them and talking to them, and so they're friends with everybody, likable. They're politicians in the making.
They really are, and it was so neat to see them. The way that they have gotten into it. and understand, the political system and the way that it works and the fallbacks and the pitfalls and just everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was really impressed with Kareem on was his ability that he actually wanted to go over and sit in the other seat. He wanted the full other perspective of it. And that is, to me, that shows real, maturity and growth,
intelligence,
and intelligence,
and strategy too.
Yes,
and to know what your opponent is thinking, even if you don't agree with them, is how you, can. Again, okay, let's bring Trump into this. That I understand a little bit the allure of the Trump supporters, a little bit, not the racist aspects of it. I don't understand why anybody would want to vote for him, because I feel like his remarks are very racist and bigoted.
Way out of line.
But I also understand, yeah, of course. But he's made a lot of, he's been successful in promoting himself, and he's made a lot of good business decisions. And you hear people saying that that's why they want to support him, because he's anti-establishment. And what we've been doing now is not working. And so that's why they want to vote for somebody who is a businessman who can maybe figure out ways for, our country to get themselves out of debt. And so I understand that part. So, it's good to understand the correlation is what you were saying with Kareem. Knowing what the other person is thinking, what his opponent is thinking. But we were talking about that a little bit yesterday.
We were, and it was so great to be part of that panel yesterday, and with that community in there, and fostering that kind of dialogue.
And Bilal's story, and how about Bilal's story when he was saying, he goes, this is going to affect him if Muslims are prevented from coming into the country because of some of the remarks that Trump was saying, that it's going to personally affect him, and he's worried about it.
And it was
so it was nice.
So good to see people willing to stand up, willing to advocate, and to me, that was the important lesson of yesterday, was that who is the most important person in this election process? The most important person is the people that were in the room to stand up and be heard and be counted. That's what the lesson I think of yesterday. Skip the candidates.
Yes, and I loved, right. And I love what you said, that it starts at a local level. Sometimes you feel like it's overwhelming to, at the top. At the very, very top, you're like, what can I do to really make a change? But you can, if you start within your own community, your own surroundings, and make changes there.
Got to get somebody talked into it. Sooner or later, I'm going to get somebody talked into it. I'm going to. I know I'm going to. Shannon, thank you so much.
What are you talking about? You're welcome. I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll get there, Shannon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great having you. Great being on the panel yesterday. Just another thing, episode with BAWB and friends here on the air here at Yahala Voice. I'm so thankful for Yahala Voice. Khaled, thank you very much. Everybody here at Yahala Voice. We'll see you all next week. Replay tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Take care, friends.
الصوت